just a bloke in a bar.
I'm here with middleweight champ Dricus Du Plessis. Watched a documentary last night, or one on YouTube.
Oh, yeah?
Heard the story. 2 weeks of training in your garage, your first fight. How does it feel, middleweight champ of the world in Australia, one of the most hyped fights in the history of the UFC? If you had to tell that to yourself when you're about to step into that UFC cage or the MMA cage?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually just thinking about it this morning. Well, I think about it every day since I've been here. Like you say, when I had that the first time, I wanted to do that, and the passion in the fight just became bigger and bigger. And here I am today defending my title in one of the biggest fights of ever.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I grew up in a town called Hartbeespoort Dam. My parents still stay there. My brother still stays there, and it's a small town in South Africa. And I used to run a route when I was 14, 15 years old. When I started with this, like you said, training in the garage, I would run to do cardio in the street. I had a certain route that I did. And now, when I go to visit my parents on weekends or on holidays, when we have family time, I'll run the exact same route.
Yep.
Now as a UFC middleweight champion 15 years later. And it's a very nostalgic thing to do. I always make sure I go and do that, because that goes to show where I came from and where I'm at right now. And every time I run that route, I remind myself, do I still have that? Because when I used to run that exact route, the only thing I would think about is, imagine one day I'm on TV fighting, not even thinking about this.
No way.
Just imagine as a professional, even in the local scene, imagine fighting on TV. It must feel like the greatest thing ever. That was my biggest dream, is fighting on TV. And now running that route, I just did it the other day. And thinking of it, I'm champion of the world. It just goes to show that's the things that dreams are made of.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You said something really interesting about your early fight. You said, I had more heart than skill set. Is that still true?
Yes, I think I can have all the skill set in the world. I can be skill for skill the greatest fighter on earth, and it won't even get close to comparing with the heart and the fire that's in me. And I honestly believe I've fought guys that are much better skilled than me, and I just have this heart of a lion that pulled it through. I mean, of late, since getting into UFC, I've my skills have grown better and better and better. But earlier in my career, I didn't have those skills, but I had the heart to go out and get it done. And then, of course, now once you combine that with skill, and that heart, it's not only when I fight. That heart comes through in training. That heart comes through in everything I do to achieve my goals. So when I rock up to training, I don't just rock up to the gym. It's another day of training. You get those days, yeah, of course, anybody does. But I rock up there, I get on those mats, body may be sore from last week or from the day before. I get up there, it's cold, or you don't feel like it. But every day I step onto those mats, it's not I have to get through this training session. I'm there to achieve something in that training session. I'm there to win in that training session. Not necessarily when I train my partner, beat up my training partner. It's not what it's about. It's about learning something and being better than when I walked into that gym. Every single day. Being present and being productive is not the same thing.
I have to ask you, and I probably know your answer already. Are you a harder worker than your father?
That's a very tough question, because at this stage, no. I have to say no. But let me tell you this. Without him, I wouldn't be able to do this, without my parents' influence, because being a professional fighter is extremely hard work. And that's the only example I've ever gotten. I have not seen my dad be lazy my whole life. I'm talking about, I've seen this on a weekend. I'll go and visit. And I'm talking about something small, like not even a pipe burst, just a tap leaking or something, and he'll be like, let's go fix that. I'm thinking, well, let's not. I would prefer not to. We just had Sunday lunch, everybody's lazy, and and he's like, no, you don't leave stuff like that, you get it done. I had sporting events, far drive, he works far away from home. he wouldn't miss a single game, wouldn't miss a single match. It's a 4-hour drive. He would make sure he's there, drive back to it. So that's why I say, no, there's no way I'm a harder worker than my father. But he is the inspiration of how hard I know what it takes, because my father, by the time he was my age, he had 3 children. When he was my age, I was 2 years old. My brother was 6 years old, and my other brother was 9 years old. And he worked so hard. He was working every single day. He had to be at all of the sporting events. He made sure he was there. So no, there's no way I work as hard as my dad, because I don't have any children. I don't have that responsibility, and I'm doing what I'm doing. So I'm working hard, but I don't have that. And I mean, that's always something I aspire to do. I would always think, I want to make my dad proud. And even if I fail, it's not about that. It's about the effort and how hard I tried.
Now, obviously being South African, world champs in rugby. First, I have to ask you, was it a send-off in the World Cup Grand Final? Was that a red card or a yellow card? What did you learn? I need an honest answer, brother.
Well, yeah, I have to agree with everything that happened. I think it was the perfect call, every single one of them.
How does it feel, like South African rugby team is, I think a lot of South African kids would aspire to be like that.
Absolutely.
And, you rub shoulders with them now, and there are a lot of young kids that would see you similar to the South African rugby team. I would hope, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, we spoke about it also this morning. I'm thinking, all the Springboks are going to be at the fight. Yeah. They're coming to watch the fight. I'm meeting with them before open workouts, all of that. But, to be aligned with them in that way, being considered as on the same level, in my mind, is ridiculous. Yeah. But in South Africa's eyes, that's what we have, world champions. Yeah. I'm a world champion, they're world champion. But I mean, growing up, being a Springbok is the ultimate. Yeah. I mean, that they are superheroes in South Africa, and rightfully so. Still, to me, they still are. Yeah. I go watch those games. I went to the World Cup final. I go watch the Springboks play, and I'm like a kid. I get emotional. I get angry. It's not. I'm just watching my peers play. Not at all. Yeah. I'm watching the mighty Springboks play, and they will always be heroes, and as it should be. Yeah.
Mate, I've actually got a South African that works for me, and he will not keep reminding me of that World Cup win. Mate,
yeah, we can be petty like that when it comes to the Springboks, I know.
Mate, Israel Adesanya, obviously, kickboxing distance, a lot of people would say he has the upper hand, but funnily enough, you've actually won titles in kickboxing. It's actually one of your strong suits before coming into UFC. Is that something that necessarily not in your back pocket, but is it a confidence that you kind of have that maybe people not really underestimating?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think they underestimate it now. If you look at my knockouts, I mean, that alone speaks for itself. But I think with his pedigree and the amount of experience in kickboxing, that's where people put me as the underdog when it comes to the striking. But one thing people forget is there's a big difference between MMA striking and kickboxing. It was actually one of the hardest things for me to do, was converting from a full K1 kickboxing fighter to MMA striker. It took longer than to learn how to wrestle and to grapple. Yeah. Because you have this habit, and it's not a good habit to have in MMA. Yeah. And obviously he's made the transition as well. That's why he has the record and the legacy that he has. But when it comes to MMA striking, if this fight's not allowed to go to the ground, I know I beat him, even if it's just staying standing. Yeah, well. And because that's what I prepared for, to beat him everywhere this fight goes. Yeah.
And in regards to heart, do you think you have a bigger heart than him?
I think in comparison, I think you can't compare the two. I think, when it comes to heart, desire, fire, there's not a man alive that has the burning fire in him to win this fight this weekend. Not one single man, not him, nobody else.
And obviously the welcome to country yesterday in Australia. What's it like when a lot of personal things have been said and you have to stand 10 metres away from the guy that you're going to get in a ring with, and it's basically do or die? I'm sure it's just business as usual for you, but for an absolute nuffy like me, I'm sitting there going, wow, another kicks off. What's it like for you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like you said, strictly business. But, if something should happen, if, it's still, we've seen this with the build-up with the Strickland fight. if he had to go and make something about it, because I wasn't feeling animosity when I was standing there. Of course, there's an energy, because I know I'm going to try to kill this man this weekend, and he's going to try and kill me.
Yeah.
And so there's that animosity, which it should be. But I'm in control of my emotions. I'm in control of my energy. There's nothing he can do or say that's going to make me react in a way that I don't want to react. If he comes at me and he disrespects me in that situation, we'll throw down right there. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
But as long as he keeps his respect outside in a situation like yesterday, so will I. I mean, I'm a professional, and I will never do something out of rage or anger or emotion in this sense.
Do you think that, because like I've watched a lot of your build-ups and you seem to get under people's skin, do you think it is because you are so controlled they're not getting the reaction they want out of you and that kind of frustrates them?
Yes, absolutely. I'm in control, and that's hard for anybody to accept that. When your opponent is so in control, that's how it is. I mean, it's the energy at the end of the day. I think it has to. I mean, if you're trying your best to throw somebody off and you say something to tick them off and they got nothing, that's a win. That's a win. So for me, like I said, it's about being in control of your body and your mind, and it all coming together. And for me, that's a very important part, and a big part of my success in the octagon is how I'm able to manage all emotion, take it out of the picture, and do what needs to be done.
Yep. 12 months, everything happens perfectly. What are you doing? Where are you sitting? What are you doing in your life in 12 months' time?
Hopefully the same thing I'm doing right now.
Yep.
Just bigger fights, bigger arenas, and for me, I'm loving what I'm doing.
Yeah.
The past. I mean, I've been fighting professional since I've been an adult. 6 months after high school, I had my first professional fight. I've never had another job, and it's been amazing. Every year, just better than the previous one. And regardless of what happens, I have a purpose, and this is what I was sent on earth to do. And from the day I realized that at the age of 15 years old, I've been pursuing this. So, I mean, I have a great family, I have great people around me, and I've achieved so many of the goals that I wanted. And the only thing that I need to do is keep on working my ass off like I am and achieve more of those goals, which is defending this title, defending this belt 2, 3, 4 times, defending it how many times necessary to go on to the next step.
And one more thing before I let you go. Is there anything us Aussies have said whilst you've been here where you've gone, I don't know what that means? To be honest, the channel that I'm putting...
what do you call a weed eater, like a wiki wacky or...
a lawnmower?
No, the one like...
The weed whacker?
Weed whacker. What do you call that?
Whippersnipper?
Whippersnipper. Yeah, that was it. That was it. My friend Jackson. I don't know if you know Jackson.
Jackson O'Doherty?
Yeah.
I know.
Good mate. Yeah, he's here with us. He's here, and he.
Is he here with you now?
Yeah, he's here with me now. Yeah.
Mates with him?
Yeah, he's a great dude. Yeah, he came to live with us in South Africa for 2
way.
months. Yeah, after my fight in Canada, we're very good friends, and he came to live with us.
How did that relationship come
I
about?
mean, crazy enough, one of my best friend actually went to the UAE, and Jackson was there, and they met. And I was supposed to go, but I had training, so I couldn't join them.
Yeah.
And so they became friends, and we were just speaking on the phone because they were hanging out.
No way.
And then he went to go watch my fight in Canada, and then we met up, and it was one big party. After the Canada fight, we were there for more like a week. He's like, nah, you guys are cool. He's coming home with us, and he said he's going to come to South Africa for like a week.
Yeah.
And he stayed for 8.
He stayed for 8 weeks?
Yeah, he just loved it. He said South Africa was one of the greatest places ever. And now, when we came here, he's from close to Brisbane, so he flew in for the fight. And then after the fight, we're going that way. We're going to Brisbane. So he said, "What did you say? It's called whippersnipper."
Yeah.
And I said, "What is a whippersnipper?" And that was the one thing I had.
Tell him you sat down with Bloke in a Bar. He'll know who you're talking.
Bloke in a bar. I'll definitely tell him.
Thanks so much, brother. Appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you so
bro.
much.
Thank you. What's going on, guys? I'm here with Israel Adesanya, mate. The build-up to his fight. Achieving another, historic fight. How's it been for yourself?
It's been good just to, again, be thrust into the limelight after a nice hiatus, longest hiatus of my career. And I feel refreshed, I'm reset, and I'm ready to go.
Is there, like this fight, you obviously stepped away from the game for a little bit. Was there anything specific about this fight that motivated you, or was there just a fire in you to get back, in the line?
Fire in me to get back because I know who I am. I know what I can do. So my last performance wasn't even close to what I can do. And definitely Dricus, needs to be held accountable for what he said that was blasphemous against the Three Kings. So both of them, I guess.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of talk build up from Du Plessis about fire, and he has more fire than anyone in the UFC. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't really have any thoughts on it. I'm focused on myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, he can think whatever he wants. He can think the fire's dwindled. He might think I'm on the way out or whatever. But yeah, they're entitled to their thoughts. I'm not trying to change their mind.
Yeah. And in regards to technical ability, you're well, in my opinion, you're the most technical he's ever fought by quite a margin. Do you feel like that is something that you have in your back pocket that he may not be ready for?
In the front pocket, I'm ready to go. I've really refreshed and reset myself, revamped the camp. We've taken things that we just need to work on from back in the day and then brought them back. And I feel really sharp for this fight, man.
Yeah.
My eyes are on.
Yeah. I speaking to Dan Hooker earlier, he said usually he likes to spar with you. He reckons this camp, not interested, you're hitting too hard. Is that a mixture of, you really wanting to be here as well as the fact that you guys have revamped your whole camp?
Yeah, I actually had a preseason for the first time.
Okay.
So this has been to be honest, like a 16-week camp.
Yeah, wow.
So yeah, it's I put on some muscle. Shout out to AB from Base Benefit. Lean, useful muscle that's bred to go. And yeah, I'm not trying to hit hard. I'm just very sharp at the moment.
Yeah. And speaking of pre-seasons, you obviously train with Cara France and Dan Hooker. Have they managed to get you interested in rugby league yet? I'm a rugby league guy, so...
No, it's not even that. I go and support the boys
Yeah.
live, but I'm not really I never grew up on... I just know, the sports bug never really caught me.
Yeah.
But whenever the boys show up, like the All Blacks or the Warriors...
Yeah.
They're my boys. I always show love, and if they invite me to a game, I will go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Even now, I'm at the Eagles facility, and I'm like, I want to go to a game at some point.
Yeah.
Because it'd be cool just to witness live.
Yeah.
Even the NBA, I don't watch the NBA, but when I get floor seats, I'm there.
Yeah.
And I watch it live, and I can see someone like LeBron dunk on someone. I'm like, yo, that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you been watching the Olympics at all?
Nah, not really. I've been focused on this fight, really.
Yeah. Is it locked in? Do you think... Is there things specifically that you feel you need to change from your fight from Sean Strickland, or do you feel it's more about going back to what made you great and makes you great?
I definitely that fight wasn't really me, and anyone who knows, they're like, he just look, that was 5 fights in 16 months as a champion, not even a challenger. Most fighters in the UFC don't even fight 3 times. I fight him 5 times in 16 months.
Yeah.
That was a lot, just a lot for, and I'm only human. I do extraordinary shit, Superman shit, but I'm only human. So it was nice to reset, and now I can show the world what I can really do, or remind the world what I can.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think that, as you get older and more experienced, that maybe, you fight so often, but sometimes you don't put yourself first at times? Was that a case of that where you were almost putting everyone else before yourself and you step away, focus back in on yourself and come back to the fight game, or not really?
Good question. Maybe. I definitely. Okay, maybe. Because even early on, I say if my boys were fighting early on the card, I'd be there for at the arena for 6-7 hours.
Yeah.
I didn't do that the last fight. I didn't do that the one before that in Miami. I support my boys. I watch them on TV. Then I'll go to the arena when I need to, and I'll be there for 2 hours maximum.
Yeah.
Rather than lying down on the floor on the pillow,
Yeah.
So maybe, but you gotta look at. I gotta put me first so I can look after everyone.
Absolutely.
So I guess maybe. I don't know. I have to think about that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And you love anime. What chapter are we in your story right now? Oh, you don't love anime?
I do love anime,
Okay, cool.
but it's not all of me.
Okay, apologies.
Because it's not. I'm sorry. It's just people keep trying to put me in a box.
Okay.
And I have to remind people I am more than just one thing.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I do love anime. I'm watching Windbreaker at the moment. It's pretty cool. But this is not even just an anime. Even if it's a book, this is who knows what chapter this is. I don't know. I'm not a psychic, but bro, life is short, man.
Yeah.
You can walk out and get hit by a bus. that's the fucking cliche thing to say, but life is short. I've had that reminded to me many times. So I just try and enjoy each moment as it is and be present in the moment right now. That's all we have is right now.
If you could go back to young 15-year-old Israel,
Yeah.
would he believe
I think I'm
this
the
story?
coolest motherfucker on the planet. Like,
Yeah.
Me at even 16, 15, I think I'm the shit. Like, I'd be so in awe of me.
Yeah.
Fuck, you're the coolest. Like, I think I was the coolest motherfucker ever. So, yeah, I built myself into this because of
That's
my
incredible.
imagination.
I like that, man. I like that. And is this going to be almost the pearl in the crown for you? Do you think this performance, is that what it feels like, or is this just another day at the office?
It's another one in the office, but it definitely will be special. Just achieving what I'm gonna achieve this weekend, but it's not. I have to see afterwards. Hindsight's 2020. Then I can be like, okay, that was this. But I don't know yet till I'm in there.
Yeah. And I got to ask you, because it's seriously one of the coldest photos I've ever seen in my life. The photo with the bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Was that pre-planned? Was that in the moment? Where did that come from?
It was backstage. Like, I was just visualizing knocking him out, and then there's a photo of me going, and then I knocked him out. I just straight away, just like I manifested it. I was like, bah, bah, bah. I didn't even mean to do three. That was just freestyle.
Yeah.
When you dance like I do, you can freestyle. You can come up with things on the fly. I just knew I wanted to use a bow and arrow on his chest, but the three of them, that was just a freestyle.
And going forward, like, you're back in the game now? You're back to continue your legacy, or is it? Well, we'll see how we go after this fight.
I'm one fight at a time. I'm not gonna be, because early on when I made my debut here in Perth in 2018, I was always peeking at the future and I set up the next fight. Now I'm not doing that. I was always trying to fight 3 times, 4 times in a year, even as a champion. Now I'm not doing that. I'm doing everything on a case-by-case basis, because life in the last 11 months has taught me a lot. A lot of really important lessons. So I just try and stay present in the moment and enjoy now, because all we have literally is right now. Nothing else matters. Fuck, who knows what's going to happen this weekend? This event might not happen this weekend if something crazy happens. But no, all we have is right now. So you just have to enjoy the moment. And it's really hard to do, to stay present. But that's where things like meditating and breath work comes into play, because then you learn how to stay in the moment.
Have you been doing breath work for quite a while?
Of course, yeah. It's we all breathe, but a lot of people just breathe like the wrong way, breathing with their mouth or whatever. But yeah, I try and use my breath to center myself.
And in 12 months, if everything happens perfectly, what's your perfect life in 12 months? You know, what's everything lands right for you?
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Beak here, interviewing Steve Erceg.
How you going, mate?
I'm going very well. You got a big fight coming up this week?
Huge fight. Thanks, brother. Mate, how are you going? How are you going to build up? You're obviously a local.
Yes.
So this would be the biggest card of your life.
Yep.
What's the build-up like been for you? Different, normal, same? What has it been like?
No, there's obviously like a little bit of extra pressure. Like, I want to perform at home for my friends and family, but at the end of the day, it's still another guy coming to beat me up. So I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that doesn't happen, and I reciprocate.
And since your last fight, you know, so close, and we've already spoken about this, but for the audience, you know, basically a 5-round war, and very, very close to winning the title, but you didn't. You know, what's the headspace been like since that fight?
So everything I've done after that is to find ways to, first of all, get the opportunity back, and to make sure when I do get it back, I capitalize on it this time. So there was obviously deficiencies that he exploited in that fight. I want to make sure that they're erased, and that, again, next time I'm going to take him out. It's not going to be a judge decision or anything like that. It'll be final.
And do you think that there's a lot of things that you can take experience-wise as well from that fight? I feel like if you could retake that fight, I reckon you probably would have put the pedal down quicker and all that kind of stuff. But do you think that the lessons you've learned from that fight coming into this fight put you in a much better stead to do what you need to do?
Yeah, definitely. I'm more confident for sure. I mean, losing sucks, but I did it against the best in the world, and it solidifies the fact that I am one of the best in the world. So there's a lot of confidence there. Confidence in 5-round fitness.
Yeah.
So 3 rounds, I know I can push that. Super hard, and I'm not really worried about getting tired. I will be tired, but that's because of how hard I'm pushing, and ideally he'll be more tired than me at the end. So there's a lot of good things that came out of the fight, and I'll try to implement them on Sunday.
I know, mate. being a local boy, how many tickets have you had to get for the family? How many?
So luckily we get like a link,
Yeah.
and so I just send the link out to everybody that's asked for tickets,
Yeah.
and I don't have to worry about sorting it. They sort it themselves. So
Yeah.
luckily it's been pretty stress free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess there's one thing fighting in someone else's backyard. Cara France coming to this Australia. Is there an added kind of energy of representing from like where you're from? Is there an added part of that in this fight?
Yeah, for sure. It's like defending my country, like
Yeah.
my home soil. Like, nobody's coming here and dethroning me. This is where I come from, and take great pride in that. And I want to show what Perth guys can do.
And basically, this fight is going to be, I mean, I'm assuming anyway, it's a scrap.
Yeah.
Is that something that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's what Australian fighters. That's what they do. You don't see many of them come out just try to win decision grapple. Like you got Jack Della Tai, you got me. We want to put somebody out unconscious, and so that's what I want to give to the Australian fans. That's what's exciting.
And what parts of your game do you feel are his strengths, and also what parts of his game do you feel that you are better than him at?
I think jiu-jitsu specifically, I've got better jiu-jitsu than he does. If I can get on top of him, I think it's going to be a hard time for him getting up. But getting him down is really hard. His takedown defense is better than mine. He's very good with it. I think it's like 88% takedown defense accuracy or something like that. And then on the feet, I think he's very good at what he does. I just think I have more ways to hit him than he does to hit me.
And for you personally, you're 29 years old now?
Yep.
Do you feel like, your hands are getting heavier, you're kind of getting into that age where you're getting that real man strength? Are you feeling that in training or?
Not at all. No, I feel technically I feel much better. I feel stronger because of that. I'm in better positions more often, but I train with welterweights, middle. I train with everybody, so I don't necessarily ever feel like I'm the strongest guy in the gym. Yeah,
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you know this, but there may be a rugby league team coming to Perth. You probably don't know this at all.
No, I don't know this.
Surely you're an AFL man, aren't you?
I am, yes.
Oh, no. Who's your team in AFL?
The West Coast Eagles.
If a rugby league team did come to Perth, could we get you just across to maybe one game?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I've been to some league games, especially the ones in Vegas.
Yep.
I watched those, and those are awesome live. And I do like the sport. It's just I don't follow it very closely.
Was there any chance growing up that you would have played AFL or any other sports other than obviously MMA?
Yeah, I wanted to play AFL. I just unfortunately wasn't good enough at it. But that was the dream for a long time.
Yeah. When did you start training for MMA?
I think I first started when I was 14, but I did it for like 6 months maybe, and then got bored and moved on.
Yep.
And then I came back at 16 and then started training more of a martial arty type thing. And then at 18, I was like, I can fight now. So that's when MMA started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you feel, was it a mixture because you were wanting to play AFL that you kind of dedicated more time to that as a teenager, or was it just one of those things where you faded in and out of combat sport?
I wanted to spend more time playing footy because that's what I wanted to do. So the most fun thing I could do in mixed martial art was sparring. But sparring conflicted with playing footy on the weekend, so I would miss sparring so I could play games, and then eventually realised I wasn't going to be good enough. I lost interest a little bit, and then that's when the MMA sort of took over.
How tough was that decision? Because having grown up playing sport myself, as a teenager, you always want to tell yourself I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. How tough was that call?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. I still, every now and then, look back and go, imagine if I kept playing, or could I have done it, and that sort of thing. And every time I watch a game, I still want to go out and kick the footy and practice goal kicking and that sort of stuff. So I feel like I made the right decision, but it's not easy.
Did you play with any current players there in the AFL?
Yes, I went to school with a couple guys, and mostly, more so waffle players, I think.
Is it a bit strange feeling you idolised AFL players probably growing up?
Yes.
And now I'm sure there's a lot of AFL players that love watching you fight. Is that cool?
It is very weird, yeah. I went to the West Coast Eagles facility and I got to meet some of the players, and the fact that they came up to me, oh, hey, Steve, how do you know who I am? I know who you are.
Absolutely.
It's very cool, weird.
And in regards to the fight Sunday, when does it all start kind of, because if you don't want to fight the fight too soon early in the week. When do you start really zoning in to get into that killer mindset? Or are you pretty chill all the way up to the opening bell?
I try to be relaxed most of the week, and then as you get backstage, it starts changing. Because otherwise, honestly, you do tire yourself out. It is tiring thinking about and being at that mindset for too long.
Yep. And in regards to the fight, is there a specific kind of game plan that you've got for the fight, or is it a feeling out process and a reactive kind of game plan?
I always come in with the most detailed game plans, and this one is punch him really hard and hope he falls over.
It's not a bad game plan. Never worked for me. I'm usually the guy that falls over. But,
Yeah.
mate, if you obviously beat Cara France, is it the hope that you get straight back into the, I guess, next up for the championship fight?
I think it's unlikely. I think I have to win this one and then potentially win 2 more after this. So
Okay.
I'm not looking at it like, oh, if I win, I get a title shot. It's make myself undeniable, and then it'll come when it comes.
And in regards to the body, any injuries in the camp? We're all pretty good. Good camp.
Yeah, all right.
All good?
Yeah, all good.
Just a tough camp.
Yeah, camp is always tough. You have little niggles and stuff, but this week I feel like when you drop the volume,
Yep.
all of that feels good again.
Goes away.
So,
Kind of
yeah,
get ready to kind of peak towards the fight.
exactly.
And for camp, most enjoyable part of camp, least enjoyable part of camp.
Least enjoyable part of camp
And that
is
could be like, wrestling or striking
no,
or-
it's definitely the shark tanks. So we go the length of the fight. So this one will be 3 fives, and every 30 seconds you get a new partner in to try to beat you up.
Yeah.
And it just gets so exhausting because obviously they're constantly fresh,
Yeah.
and at some stage you can barely get up by yourself. So
Yeah.
like they're on top of you, and you got to find a way to technically get up, and so that's the worst part. And the best part of camp.
Looking ripped? Shredded out of your mind?
Yeah, I don't mind that. Yeah, sure.
That was the best part of pre-season for me in rugby
Yeah.
league. Obviously not that anymore. Now, mate, what would your younger self, so you're 14 when you went in first initially in combat
Yep.
sport, if you could face him now and say, I'm about to co-main one of the most hype fights this year, but maybe in the history of, honestly, the UFC, it is huge, this fight.
Yeah.
What do you reckon your 14-year-old self would say to you now?
Only co-main. What have you been doing this whole time?
I like that.
Yeah.
And, mate, in 12 months' time, if everything happens perfectly, what are you doing? Where are you sitting in the rankings and everything? What's going on in your life in 12 months' time?
In 12 months,
Yeah.
if everything goes perfect, I'll be the champ or I'll be fighting for the belt.
Okay.
Yeah.
And last question. What is your pump-up song before you walk out?
So I actually don't listen to any music before I walk out. Yeah, I used to listen to it was like an old classical song when I played footy. I used
Yeah.
to have a classical song, and then they like input
Like
Gary-
genuine classical song.
Yeah, but they input Gary Ablett Jr. highlight audio over the top of it, and it's like the little genius, and like that used to pump me up.
Yeah.
And then when I started fighting, I felt bad that my corner was sitting there and I wasn't talking to him, so I was like, oh, I'll just ditch the music, and I just don't listen to music.
Okay. Now, what about training? Surely pump up music at training. Sure.
Honestly, it could be anything. I could be listening to Dolly Parton. I could be listening to Eminem. I could be listening to anything. I don't have like a specific song or like type of music.
Yeah.
It's just whatever I like.
Now,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're a big predictions man,
Yeah.
but is there a prediction for this fight for you? Is there a goal or an aim, or is it just get the W?
I would really like. Yeah, I'd like to finish him. I think I can knock him out.
Yep.
So that's what I'm looking to do.
Mate, good luck. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
What's going on, guys? I'm here with Cara France, and look, I know you're a fighter, but you're actually also a part of the New Zealand Warriors makeup. Let the people know how you were involved with the Warriors.
Yeah, I know you're a part of the club as well. You know, being a former Warriors player. So I'm the wrestling coach for the Wars. Been a part of the club for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Actually, Adam Blair actually got me the job. He said, "Hey, the club's looking for a wrestling coach. Would you be keen?" And set me up a meeting with Andrew Webster, Webby, and we hit it off. And he said, "You're the guy." So pretty surreal, you know, coaching alongside guys I grew up watching like Stacey Jones and obviously Blairy and you know, being able to work with Webby. He's such a great coach.
Yeah.
He knows how to draw. You know, when you see a great coach, when he knows how to adjust to different personalities and get the best out of them, you see that straight away. And yeah, just working with high performance athletes and freak athletes like Sean or Adam Fanil Blake, or there's so many great guys here, Roger. I'm just pretty lucky to be in this setting. I didn't grow up playing footy, but all my brothers did.
Yeah.
But I grew up a big fan of the club. So to be able to do this as a job and while I'm still in my career, it's a massive thing for me. Just being of service. The resilience of fighting is something that we can translate to rugby league, as well as the technique of tackling and how to be efficient with your energy.
Who do you reckon would be the best fighter in the squad?
Man, there's so many good guys that just naturally they just pick it up so fast.
Yeah.
But I've said it before. Aiden Fanil Blake, he didn't even do preseason the first time I coached, and I think he was on international tour.
Yeah.
So when he came in, he hadn't done any wrestling training with me. Smashing everyone. I was like, where'd this guy come from? And he's just so big, so strong, and he's just got it. Like he just has awareness is already there.
And for yourself personally, the last few years, what a roller coaster, because you got all the way to the top of the mountain, extremely close fight against Moreno.
Yeah.
And first of all, walk us through that fight, because there were moments there where it looked like you had the upper hand, and then obviously you ended up losing the fight. Walk us through the fight.
Yeah, it was a tough fight. Me and Moreno had fought before, so we'd shared the octagon, and I knew his power, I knew his range, I knew what he's good at, and he's when the fight gets messy, that's when he's at his best, because he's just a dog. That's the kind of Mexican mentality that he has. It's in him. So similar to Māori, like I'm not going to shy away from a dog fight. I'm just going to get stuck in, and it was a close 2 rounds. I was doing quite well. I cut him with an elbow. He was bleeding. And in the 3rd round, my probably best round, he ended up catching me with a liver kick.
Yeah.
Took my breath away. 30 seconds, he got on top and ended up getting the win.
Yeah.
If you saw his face after the fight, he was the one bruised, bloodied, and you see me, I was fine. It was just he capitalised on a moment, and that's everything. It's like footy, you got to turn up for the full 80. That makes a difference. And in fighting, it's the same. You got to turn up for the full 15 or 25 minutes, however long you're fighting, and who can retain, I guess, focus and be disciplined in that. That's a skill in itself.
Yeah.
So. A lot of positives to take away, a lot of stuff that we need to work on, and just experience, fighting for a world title and a hometown advantage over in Dallas, Texas. That's where that fight was.
Yeah.
30,000 people going against you.
Yeah.
You just got to block it all out,
Yeah.
and or channel that energy, and that's what we'll be doing this Sunday against a hometown boy. I know there'll be a lot of Kiwis there, but win or lose, they're here to watch both of us perform, so I can't wait.
And the last couple of years, had a few injuries as well. And what's it kind of been like mentally for you? Because that's the hardest thing about when you get close to the top. Life's going pretty good. You almost feel like, what? I was this close. I can get back there. Then a couple of injuries. What's it been like mentally for you?
It's actually been really refreshing.
Yeah.
Taking a bit of time away. I think it's all about perspective, and when you dealt with an injury, you would know, if being in a footy season, you can't let it. It's character building. It's only going to build your resilience and make you even hungrier from when you're healthy and back in your normal setting. So, to take 6 months off contact, I think that was the best decision I ever made.
Yeah.
You're working with the Warriors, concussion specialists, neurologists, so many different people that I could tap into, and they're there to save you from yourself. Fighters are always going to be the same as footy players. They're going to be too tough for their own good. Say, no, I'm fine. I'll be sweet, but you actually need specialists to see the signs and let you know, actually, you're not okay, or we could do something better. Let's just take our time. And I think that's the best thing I ever did was just work on other things outside of combat training. I could still do strength stuff. I could still do cardio. And when I was back in my normal combat setting, my body actually loved it because of that wear and tear, that load, that volume that we've always kind of used to. I hadn't taken a break for about 10 years. So I guess being a bit older now, being a bit more intentional with recovery, with listening to my body, seeing the signs before it's too late or not too late, but until injuries do come up. Just taking a bit of reflection, a bit of time away to know where we're heading. I guess the next 5 years are going to be my best years. So 31 now, still in my prime. And I still, have goals to reach, which is to fight the best guys and win a flyweight world title.
And Erceg, a tricky fighter. He's quite rangy. Also came very close to the belt as well. Where do you see advantages in your game over Erceg?
Yeah, he's a tough opponent, very well rounded. But I think what's the difference is experience. He's only had 5 or 6 fights in the UFC. This will be my 12th fight in the UFC. So I've been around. I've fought the best guys. I've fought former world champions. I've fought undefeated fighters, and I've beaten them. And a lot of it is just you against yourself. I don't look too much into my opponents. I just go in there. I have a game plan. I listen to my coaches, but a lot of it's instinct, and that's stuff that's come from years and years of seeing it. At our gym at City Kickboxing, we can draw and guys that can give me that look that Erceg's going to be giving, and I feel like we're just going to be one step ahead. So I welcome the challenge. I welcome the best fighters, and Steve's got nothing bad to say about him. It's kind of like kill him with kindness. That's the goal, and I can't wait to get in there and have fun.
Is it going to be don't blink, or is it because we know you love a scrap, or is it going to be a measured kind of?
You just got to feel it out. That's one of those things you just got to go in there and test the water. But once I smell blood, I'm going for the kill. It's more than it's primal. Like my body just knows, and at the moment, every day we're getting closer to the fight. It's like a switch when I hit the pads or wrestle the boys. Everything's a kill shot. We're going for heads, and we're coming for everything that he's trying to take away from me. Title shots, taking away food from my from the table from my whānau. So I tap into that, and I can't wait to get in there and just show everyone why I'm the best flyweight in the world.
Mate, thanks so much for joining us, bro. Good luck.
Cheers, Thank
bro.
you.
Appreciate it.
My man.
Cheers, bro. I'm here with a big fella, Tai Tuivasa. How you going, brother? Fight
What
week.
do? Good, bro. How are you?
Very, very good. Thanks, mate. Before we get into it, I've got to ask you some footy questions. I've got to ask you.
I haven't watched much footy. I've been in Dubai.
Okay. Well, Penny Panthers are playing the Storm,
And we're back.
and it's the top of the table clash this week. Who you tipping? And by how much?
Of course, the Penny Panthers.
The Penny
always,
Panthers? Okay.
always.
And are the Penny Panthers, they going 4 in a row or what?
Definitely 4 in a row.
If they go 4 in a row, is there anything that you're willing to do? Like,
It's nothing I haven't done.
what was it, 2 years ago that there was back at Drink West that you had a little bit of a party, 2-3 years ago?
I can't recall.
I'll turn it up. Mate, fight week, it's back in Australia. Obviously you train in Dubai now, but you're back in Australia. What's the feeling like?
No, I feel good, man. All the work's done. Just ready to roll now. Coming off a few losses, so ready to definitely get back in the winning column.
And a lot's been made of coming off a few losses, but for people that have been following you for quite a while, you've bounced back before and gone on a good run. Is that something that gives you confidence that you've kind of been here to a degree before?
Yeah, I'm from Western Sydney, bro. Born in adversity, so obviously a few losses make me have to tune in and go harder, so it's something I've definitely done, and I'm ready to roll.
And is it more from a technical side, or is it more from a mental side, do you think?
Nah, I think with me mentally, when my head's all over the shop and thinking other things, I'm not really thinking about the fight. But I feel the best I've felt mentally, and I'm ready to roll.
And I guess heading into this fight, is there any tactical changes that or is it basically, because early in your career it was going in there and just bang, and just the better man wins. Is that changing at all, or not really?
I think I've matured.
Yeah.
I think it's more having to take my time. Sometimes I get in there and just want to have a crack.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
But I feel a lot this camp we've been working on just taking my time.
And the move to Dubai, what was the reasons for that?
I'm more focused in over there, away from the hood. When I'm away from my friends and family, I'm just kind of focused in.
Almost
And I've got businesses and stuff, and when your head's all over the place, you're not really thinking about one thing.
Yeah.
I think when I'm over in Dubai, I'm just thinking about one task, and that's fighting.
And not a lot of people, some people don't know this, you actually do own a few businesses. What's it like putting the business owner hat on compared to having the fight hat on?
Yeah, business is, I think, a little easier. You can do whatever, and especially, we got a alcohol company, so that
Yeah.
turns into something as well. So, I think with fighting, you got to be switched on, and you got to be away from the grog and just focused in. And I think that's what Dubai gives me.
Yeah. And what's I guess, having grown up in Australia, is there, I guess, the cultural shock of living in Dubai? Do you enjoy that, the difference and all that, or?
Oh, I don't think it's as bad as everyone thinks.
Yeah, okay.
Like, you can definitely get into some trouble, but I think more it's just over there. I got a good crew around me,
Yeah.
and I'm just it's all on me.
Yeah.
So it's better for me, I suppose.
Do you reckon you'll stay there like long? Like, let's say you were to stop fighting, I don't know, 5-6 years or whatever. Would you stay there long term, or no? You miss home?
No, I'm a hood rat, man. I love Western Sydney. I love Australia. Obviously, I'm very fortunate I can get to leave and come back. But I love Australia. It's the best country in the world.
And your opponent this weekend, where do you feel that you have, the upper hand over him, and where do you feel that maybe he might have the upper hand over you technically?
He's a kickboxer. He's been around for a long time, but I feel I'm a lot faster, younger, and more aggressive.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring it.
Yeah. 31. So 31 this year.
Oh yeah. Maybe it doesn't sound too young now.
Mate, you're younger than me. It's young for the heavyweight division. Though. It's relatively young for the heavyweight.
Yeah. I'm very young for the heavyweight division, and I feel like I'm warming up as well. So.
And I guess, people outside looking in, they look at the last few fights. Is the fire as bright as it was maybe a few years ago for you, do you think?
I'd probably say the last few fights it wasn't, but it's definitely back.
Yeah. What do you reckon clicked that into gear where you really made the decision? You're like, you know what, I've got something special I can push for here.
I think we're normal. We're humans.
Yeah.
We have shit that goes on outside the cage, and I feel like I've been going through a bit of dramas outside, and it's kind of taken my focus off the fighting.
Yeah.
But I feel I'm back, man.
Yeah, okay.
And I feel good.
Is there certain things that you did in your personal life to make sure that you kind of gave yourself the space to get?
Definitely move away.
Yeah.
Get focus in. I got all that drama finished, so it's all good now. I'm ready to roll.
And if everything happens perfectly for you, and you go out, you win on Sunday, is the genuine goal? I want to be back in contention for that heavyweight belt.
Definitely. Obviously, I haven't really thought about the belt too much. It's not my main thing. But no one likes to be a loser, and I'm in the top 10, and there's no easy fight. So I want to get this one finished good, and I want to get another fight in by the end of the year.
So you're looking to do maybe 3 fights this year, 2 fights this year?
I've had 3 fights if I can.
So basically, this year 3 fights, and then next year 3 fights again is the hope.
More active, I think the better I am.
Okay.
When I'm more active, I'm better. When I have a rest, I get into too much trouble.
And the main event, what's your pick for the main event?
I'll have to go with my boy Izzy.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a great fight, but hopefully all goes well. I'll be pissed by the time that fight even goes on, so we'll see.
Hopefully they taste like victory. Piss.
Yeah, that's it. I hope so.
Now, just before I let you go, mate, are you a predictor? If you are you hoping for a finish in a certain round, or you're like, no, I just want the dub?
Yeah, usually I want to come out and just get it done, but I find when I think about the fight too much, and when I think if I just take my time, it'll come.
Yeah.
But, I want to get it done bare bam style, get in there and get out.
Yeah, sweet, mate. Thanks so much, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank
Pleasure,
you, brother.
Thank you. What's going on, guys? I'm here with Casey O'Neill. How you going, Casey?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Fight week. Is the intensity rising as each day passes, or do you usually wait until the fight gets around to try to, lift the intensity?
I feel like I'm a little bit intense. Usually I do wait, but I think that I'm just super excited, stoked to be back in Australia. I tried to get on last year's card, and obviously things happened and it fell through. So being here in Perth is awesome for me. This was a life goal. So excitement's really high, and I can't wait for Sunday.
And you've had a cancellation of your opponent, so you've got a new opponent. Has anything changed in the build-up for you in regards to, I guess, ways to fight her and ground game, striking game? What kind of advantages or disadvantages have changed with the changing of opponent?
I think that this camp specifically, I really tried to focus just on myself more so, like what holes I had and stuff like that, what I was lacking, what I needed to improve. So it actually turned out all right when she pulled out. It didn't really matter, you know, I wasn't stuck to like a rigid game plan of any sort. I sort of was focusing more on myself and what I was going to do. So yeah, I wasn't too bothered, but I really wanted to be on this card. So for a day or two there when I didn't have a new opponent, it was a little stressful for me.
And leading into the fight, do you enjoy the talk back and forth? Has there been any talk back and forth, or has it been pretty respectful between the fans?
Well, I mean, it's only been a couple of weeks, so we haven't really talked or anything. But nah, it's been all right. Yeah, nothing
And,
much.
you know, you came to the Gold Coast when you were 10.
Yep.
What age did you actually get into MMA?
I had my first MMA fight when I was 15, but my dad actually started an MMA promotion, I think 2008 or 2009. He had
Okay.
one, it was called Days of Glory, super underground on the Gold Coast. I think he had like 2 or 3 shows underneath that name, and then like Eternal was born,
Yeah.
Eternal MMA, which is like, it's happening on Saturday night actually here as well.
Okay.
So
Are you going to do those fights?
I won't be because I'll
Okay.
be asleep because I got to get to the arena so early. But yeah, no. So I've been around it my whole life. My dad fought and stuff. I finally convinced him to let me try MMA at 15, and
Yeah.
never looked back.
So did you try for a few years to try and convince him, and he was like, nah, you're not getting into it?
I think I was like 12 or 13, working the front door, taking tickets off everybody, and
way.
I was like, I just want to be in there. And he's like, well, you won't be doing that, you
Yeah.
know. And I was in school at the time, so girls really weren't doing it. So, and girls weren't in the UFC, so it was like a little different. But yeah, worked out.
Was it immediately MMA, or did you try kickboxing and other?
I trained in kickboxing growing up, and I did jiu-jitsu growing up as well. I did a lot of competitions. I tried boxing. I've tried to do it all, like when you could. When you're
Yeah.
an amateur, you could do everything, you know. Now you're stuck, locked into MMA. So tried to get as much experience as I could.
And coming out of this fight, are you predicting? Are you hoping for a finish, or are you more focused on just getting the win and then focusing on the next 6 months or so? What's the kind of focus? And I guess what would be the best result for you coming out of this fight?
Yeah, this is kind of like a rebuild phase for me, you know. Like, obviously, I had 2 fights that didn't go my way, but I've gone back, as I said, and done a lot of growing. So the main thing that I'm focused on is just winning, but I'd love to get a finish in front of an Aussie crowd, you know,
Yeah.
a crowd that's behind me. I've never had that in the UFC, so it would be great to give them a finish.
And obviously, you had a couple of losses. What do you reckon you learnt the most about yourself, one? And also, you said you've worked on yourself. Is that skill set wise, or do you think mentally you've worked on yourself?
It's both. I think that a lot of things that I was lacking before was sort of immaturity, I guess, and just being super young and thinking, you know the right way, and things that hadn't not worked for me in the past. If it's not broke, don't fix it. So I was never looking at those things that I needed to improve on, and I think it gave me the chance to step back and focus on it. A lot of it was mental, but obviously there was some skill set stuff as well. So I took my time. It's been 8 months, so I've taken some time, and I'm like itching at the bit to get in there and punch on.
What's the camp been like? Has it been one of your best camps, do you think, because you had that break?
Yeah, no, it's been really good. It's been really different to my other ones as well, and I felt a dramatic improvement in skill set, and also just not overtraining every day, so I'm not completely exhausted. I felt like in my fight camp for December, I was trying to do more and more and more, so I was exhausted by the time the fight came around, and I just was like, I can't wait to get it over with. But now I'm actually excited for the fight.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been different.
And if everything in the next 12 months happens perfectly, where are you? What are you doing? What's the perfect next 12 months for you?
2 or 3 fights, and then a top 5 opponent would be awesome. Maybe a main event in the Apex or something like that if it's still around. So yeah, something like that.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Good luck.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it.
What's going on, guys? I am here with Dan Hooker, and a lot of people don't know this, but Dan Hooker was actually one of my first ever combat sports interviews, and you can go on YouTube, and I was terrible at it.
Still hanging around?
Still hanging around, bro. It was like 6 or 7 years ago. How you going, brother?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. Just, we all pulled up to town. We all settled in, training hard. Just excited for this weekend.
Now, a lot of people may not know this, but you're a big Warriors fan, and
Get a bit passionate when I'm supporting the boys.
And a video has come across my desk of you getting extremely passionate. So for the rugby league listeners, the Eels obviously played the Warriors recently, and the Eels was a big upset. And the great Dan Hooker got a bit passionate and he may have thrown a drink. Can you walk us through where the...
Nah, so we were there. I come along with Kai, and we were supporting the boys. And then they had one of the Eel supporters. He kept standing up. Boys are getting pumped. Let me start by saying, boys are getting pumped. The bro was like standing up, and he was, every time they would score, he was just absolutely rinsing us. He was rubbing it into the crowd, going like, "How you like this, boys?" So I thought I just about had enough of this club. So we just got into a spraying match, but it's why I like going to the footy, is to get in a spraying match with another supporter and another fan. So it was like all in good fun. Ended up biffing one at him just to settle him down a bit. But no, he messaged me after the game and he's like, "Oh, I would have liked to grab a photo." I was like, "Mate, I would have grabbed a photo with you, but Kai made me leave." So I said, next time we'll get us some tickets. We can go together and we can just spray each other. We can spray. I don't know why they put me in the corporate box, mate. Do I strike you as a corporate Blake? I'm a stands kind of guy. I'm a back of the stands on the hill type of bloke. Yeah. I'm not a corporate box. So well, at least that's probably the last time I get invited back to the corporate box.
Mate, that's so good. And
but I follow him. I follow Cobb on social media now. Where he messaged me. He said loved it. Now, yeah. He said loved it. Good banter. I said, yeah, I was thoroughly enjoying myself too.
Holy, that's so good. And the Wise this year, what happened? What do you reckon happened with the Wise this year?
Oh, next year's our year, boys.
Okay,
next year's our year. It's just development year, as you say. Every year's our year.
And mate, for you personally, obviously, you're fighting this weekend. First of all, like, when you actually, I'm sure you probably don't do this because you're still obviously fighting, but your resume and the people that you've fought, like, if you had said 10, 15 years ago that you would have a resume that you do have, like, what do you reckon your 15-year-old self would have said?
Yeah, couldn't have believed it. Like, if people always ask, like, if you could give yourself like one bit of advice, like for you if you were younger, and it would just be like dream bigger. Like, I never even coming up, and I was already fighting professionally for like 4 or 5 years. I didn't even know that it was possible for someone from New Zealand to get into the UFC. So to see how far it's come, and we've got New Zealand champions, Australian champions, big shows down here, pay-per-views down here. Like, I just never expected the sport to grow to the extent which it has. So it would have just been to dream bigger. Like, you would have blown that kid's head right off if he would have seen.
Mate,
if he would have seen who was fighting.
Like, you've what? Islam, Dustin, Chandler, Yair Rodriguez. Like one of the best resumes in the UFC. It's incredible. And you know, your fights as well. It's not just, you don't just go out there to kind of point your way to victory.
It's not a staring contest, Cobb.
It's not. Do you? I mean, you probably don't because you love it so much, but do you sometimes feel pressure because you've had some of the greatest fights we've ever seen in the UFC?
No, well, I never intended on that.
Yeah.
You know, in my head, I just love it. Yeah. I just love it. Once we start swinging level, brother, there's nowhere else in the world that I'd rather be. So it's like, my biggest thing is to try and stay calm. Like, that's probably what winds my coaches up to no ends, that I lose my tempo like a light switch.
Yep.
So it's like trying to stay calm and but I just can't avoid an exciting fight, brother.
Has this always been in you, this almost fire to engage in like the darkest part of combat sport, or is it something that you've built from a young kid up, kind of built inside you?
Nah, it's just like a light switch. You just gotta. I think it's a temper problem. I just found an avenue for it. That's probably the most constructive thing you could possibly do with an anger problem.
It's all, you're getting paid to take your anger out on someone, pretty much. Heading into the fight this week, what kind of changes, if any changes, you've made to your game? Is it that fact of when the fire does to get a bit bright, not to engage too deeply, be a bit smarter, or is it, business as usual for you this weekend?
Like our team in general is City Kickboxing. Like, we've brought in a whole new we've completely revamped our program and stuff like that. But for me personally, I feel like everything's kind of come together in this last year. Even though I haven't been competing and fighting, I feel like everything's like aligned. I got into the UFC when I was 24, and I was like definitely not a well-developed fighter. I was good at a couple of things, and that was about it. So what I've done had to do is develop in the UFC, get better in the UFC, test things out in the UFC, which obviously doesn't go. It's not that easy.
To test things
Yeah.
out.
Well, you got no choice.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
you stay the same fighter. You don't add things in your arsenal. You don't test things out. Well, you're not going to be around for very long. So it's the reason why I've stayed around for so long is just trying new things, developing, and it's like coming to a stage now where it's all becoming like a complete picture, and now I'm feel like I'm a fully developed fighter.
And does that give you confidence? You know, I'm assuming that this weekend is a stepping stone to potentially getting back into the consideration for a title fight in a few.
Oh, that
fights.
does. Top 5 is shooting distance of the title. There's not many guys on win streaks, especially in there. The bigger names in the division, Oliveira, Chandler, Gagey, Poirier are all coming off losses. So you put yourself here, top 5, 3-fight win streak. That is hard to argue against the title shot.
Yeah. And speaking of Poirier, your fight against him, what's a moment that maybe a lot of people, I guess, wouldn't have known, or just a tiny moment that you remember from that fight? Because for me personally, it's one of the greatest fights I've ever seen in my life. What did you remember mostly from it?
Yeah, a few ibuprofen, I reckon.
Just a few, bro.
just a couple ibuprofen, and it'll square you away.
Yeah.
It was just like it was a funny time. Yeah. That fight definitely taught me to like be a bit more patient with like rushing into fights.
Yeah. And this weekend, is there anything you've added into your skill set in this camp? Do you think that may be an edge over your opponent at all?
Oh, we're gonna have to wait. We're gonna
Wait
have to
and see?
wait. We're gonna have to wait and see.
Don't
But
let
I
the secrets
definitely got something in store for him.
Okay. And, you've always been kind of known, ironically, when you first came into the UFC, you were known as more of a cerebral fighter in regards to your fight IQ, and now you're known for, you can also brawl as well. Do you feel like the best version of you is mixing those two together?
Yeah, like that's just getting in the balls in the back pocket. It's like this fight can go one of two ways. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely operate at a distance, which he does not operate at. So it's like pick him off from range, or like worst case scenario, he grabs a hold of me, squeezes me for 2.5 rounds. I stand up with 30 seconds left on the clock, a minute on the clock, and I just get to let him go. So it's like it's Christmas. It's Christmas Eve away for me. Like I think there's past the victory, regardless of what happens. It's like even if he's winning, dominating, shutting me down, his worst nightmare will be I scramble back to my feet with 30 seconds left on the clock because I'm gonna put a hole in his head with my hands.
Do you envision that he will be really reluctant to stand with you? He will be attempting to take that?
He's grabbed me, brother.
Yeah.
He's not.
He's not dumb.
He's not dumb. He's a very smart guy. He's very good at what he does, and that is not standing in front of me. I can take that to the bank.
And your camp, you just said you overhauled everything. What was that feeling like? Was it refreshing as a fighting group to overhaul the program, everything like that?
Yeah, it was like I've been kind of like a crash test dummy for that program, and like I've been all over the world and trained in the States and Asia and all these different gyms, and just the workload at City Kickboxing is like crazy. It's like 3 times the amount of workload that I've had at at other camps or other gyms. So just to add a bit more sports science into it and to break things down and pump the brakes when we need to pump the brakes has got us. It's just like all the boys agree that we're all like fresher than we've ever been.
Yeah, wow. And so, are you a predictions guy for your fight? Is there a round that you're looking at, or you're feeling, or not really? You just want the
No, well, like I'm too experienced to like just you're prepared for everything. Prepared, like you actually don't know what, like it's best case to worst case scenario. I'm prepared for absolutely everything.
Yeah. And the main event, obviously Israel in the main event. You've been training with him this camp. Is there any difference you've seen him in this camp, or is it back to business?
Definitely, he's hitting like a truck. Like usually I'll come in and like a chihuahua, try and piss him off in sparring, but I've just been avoiding him.
Yeah, wow.
Honestly, this whole camp, like he's hitting hard. He's hitting harder than he's ever hit, and he's scary right now. I don't want to buy him at sparring anymore.
Mate, thank you so much, and good luck. Good luck on Sunday, brother. Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it.
Toys.